Have you ever found yourself in so much pain, emotional, physical, spiritual, that you do anything to numb it and then lost your way and didn't know how to find your way back to God and yourself? My guest today, Mia Godfrey, didn't know how to grieve when her father died, so she turned to alcohol. But by His grace, God showed her the way back. Welcome to the Grace Forge podcast. I'm your host, Karen Dittman, and this is a place to be reminded that when life brings the impossible, God doesn't just show up. He forges exactly what you need to get through it. Mia, I'm excited to have you here on the Grace Forge podcast today.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen.
You're welcome. I'm going to invite you to write in and start by sharing a story of how you've seen God at work in your life that can only be explained by His grace.
Thank you so much. I feel like every part of my life and every part of our life, you can see God's grace if you pay attention to the little moments. I grew up in Romania under the communist regime, and all through our life, we see God's protection, God's grace, and God's goodness to our life. But where I experienced the most transformational was through grief. I lost my father when I was 18 years old, and my life kind of spiraled out of control. Didn't know how to cope with it, so I turned to alcohol. But through God's grace and God's goodness, like the prodigal son, He was able to show me grace and show me love. And later on, when I was 35 years old, I lost my first husband.
Mm.
And I experienced God's grace to that as well. And in 2023, when one of my sisters got diagnosed with ovarian cancer, that's when I felt like God's grace put the fire within me to help others who are experience those type of trauma and grief and loss and loneliness. God's grace has been evident in my life every step of the way.
Mm. Well, and you just touched on this briefly, but the grief, and it's so natural to want to numb that pain with
Mhm.
alcohol or
Yeah.
other things, other addictions, but then that draws you down. So tell me about how God reached you in the middle of it, because I've
Mhm.
seen how addiction is so controlling. So can you
Mhm.
just share with me, I know there's
Yes.
usually a rock bottom story, but how did
Mhm.
God reach you in that?
I had multiple rock bottom stories through my
Mm,
recovery. So after my father passed, I was 18 years old. He passed away in April, and I left home by October. And the reason I left home, one, I was grieving, didn't know how to grieve, didn't know how to cope with it. And I knew that I turned to alcohol, and I did not want to bring shame to my family. My mom was known as the prayer warrior in our community. I said, I would never bring shame to my family. I said, if I'm far away, maybe I'm able to hide this sin longer. And that's what I did. And through every step of the way, every time I hit rock bottom, I said, this is it. I'm going to drop it. But what a lot of people don't understand, when you're dealing with an addiction, it's not just, hey, I made up my mind and that's it. I'm going to
mm,
walk away. It takes a lot of work, and a lot of what helped me was the accountability. And I've been through so many through that. Like, I had abusive relationships, and because that's what I knew, that's what I was familiar with.
mhm,
But until I surrounded myself with strong people who can hold me accountable, that was when the breakthrough happened, and I was in my 20s. But it was not just one time that's it, I'm giving it up. And I do believe in the power of prayer, but you have to take steps for recovery. And in Romania, we didn't have, hey, 12 steps. We didn't have those groups that could help you, or a program that could help me. So prayer work. My mom, my siblings, one of my sister always used to say, sis, I know you're struggling, and I don't know what you're going through, but I want you to know I'm always going to be beside you, and I'm always going to love you unconditionally. And I truly believe down in my heart that that helped me recover because I did not feel judged by her. I did not feel lesser than in her presence. She just held space for me, and she showed me love even when everything I was doing, I was not destroying just my life, but even life people around me.
That, you've touched on some things that are so important, surrounding ourselves with a community of people
Hmm.
who who believe in us and who aren't going to let us keep falling down or will pick us up once we fall
Yeah.
down. And then just that love of your sister. I heard years ago somebody talking about the thing that is most helpful in addiction recovery. There's so much shame-based things around addiction, and you feel it, right, when you're in the middle of it.
Yes.
But the thing that helps the most is, especially from family members, love and that belief
Hmm.
in you. So I love that your
Yes.
sister was there for you, saying, no
Hmm.
matter what, I still love you.
Hmm. Yes. And acceptance, love
Hmm.
and acceptance to know that there's a judge free zone. Because I already knew I was messing up. I already knew that what I was doing is not going to build my life in any way for the future. I already knew that. I didn't need somebody else to tell me. And she understood that.
Yeah. And something I've observed, because my own daughter walked through a few years of
Mhm.
addiction, and something that I've observed is it's like there's a struggle inside the addict. Like there's something that is controlling me. This is not me. This is not what you
Mhm.
wanted, but
Mhm.
you had no other way out. Yeah.
And now I can see how God can use, yes, even that story can use it for His glory.
Hmm.
I didn't see that in the moment. My family didn't see that in the moment because it was extremely hard to see it. But sometimes we try so hard as parents to protect our kids and help them take a different path. But sometimes we become so pushy that we rob them of what God has for them and how they can impact other people through the hardship they're going through. Because just now I'm at the point in my life where I said, okay, Lord, how can I use my hardship? How can I use my experience to bring glory to you? And every day he shows me how to hold space and love people and meet them where they're at. Judgment free zone, which is really hard, especially in the Christian circles. A lot of times we try because we say we love people, we want them to know God, we want them to know Jesus. And we forget that sometimes we just need to love them, actually, all the time. We just need to love
Yeah.
them. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. And there's an interesting balance that you mentioned between that love, no judgment, holding the
Mm-hmm.
space, and the accountability, the person who
Mm-hmm.
will say, I'm not going to let you stay stuck here.
Yes,
And I
yes,
think we need both in our lives, whether we're
yes.
dealing with addiction or
Mm-hmm.
anything else.
Yeah, I'm not saying to agree with it,
Hmm.
but they need, like, and you said earlier, there is so much shame around it.
Hmm.
There is so much shame. And I'm not saying agreeing with it, but if we just stay close and say, hey, I love you. And I
Yeah.
know you're going through some rough patches, but I'm going to be here. I'm going to help you walk through it every step of the way and allow the Holy Spirit to do his job because
Hmm.
I'm not the Holy Spirit. And sometimes we make it a little bit harder because we try to give them more Bible, more verses, more, but they already know it. They grew up a lot of times. I mean, I grew up under the Christian home. I knew all of that, but I
Hmm.
just needed to know that I'm still accepted and still loved. And Jesus showed me that he did. He did that for me.
Yeah. And something I'm hearing in what you're saying, something that's occurring to me, is that it's one thing to know, like you grow up
Yes,
in this environment and we know this in our heads, but that
yes,
doesn't change until we let it into our hearts.
yes,
How did you
yes.
experience that?
So the last straw for me, where I said, this is it. Prayer is not enough. Prayer is needed, but you need to take action. I was in an extremely abusive relationship. but I didn't know. In my mind, that's all I knew. That's all I saw in my father. That's all, and I thought that was normal. And it happened that one of my friend got pregnant, and my fiance was the father.
Oh,
I remember I was in my bedroom and I kneeled and I started crying and I said, Lord, I'll forgive him. I forgive him. You asked me to forgive and I forgive him and I can raise that child. I was trying to justify it. I blamed myself for it. And next thing you know, I got a bottle of moonshine and I start drinking and drinking and drinking. And this is something that is extremely was extremely hard for me to come clean and say, yeah, that's who I was.
yeah.
And I remember that morning I got up and I threw up and I went to the bathroom and I was laying there in a mess and I cried to God and I said, what am I doing? Is this what I'm going to do for the rest of my life? Is this? So it just happened that I received the call not long before, a few weeks before that, and it was a college, a Christian college that was like about 800 miles away. So that was a wake up call. I said, it's time for me to stop chasing somebody who didn't want me, didn't see my worth. Because in my mind, I was worth nothing. I was a nobody. I was just a drunk who was faking to have that perfect image. But I knew deep down how broken I was. So I packed my bags and I went to the bus station and without telling him that I'm doing that. And I made it to that college. And at that college, through God's grace, I realized I had no money to pay for college. And I was like, okay, I'm here. I have no other options. Right now, if I turn to alcohol, I end up homeless. I don't know anybody in this city. So I end up getting three jobs. I was staying at the dorms and I was working at an orphanage during the day. It was more after school. I was going to school in the morning. I was administrative assistant at the college in the morning. And then in the weekends, I used to clean homes. And I
Mm,
was so extremely busy. And I said, there's too many people praying for a breakthrough. There's too many people praying for me. So what I made the decision that I will not be alone. I tried to constantly have somebody strong close to me. Like if I had to walk to the city because we didn't have cars, and I know it's just not even 20 years ago, and in Romania, we used to walk and I had a bicycle, but I made sure that no matter where I go, that I had a strong witness that could help me and me not
mm,
go and buy the alcohol. And I started avoiding those stores that I knew they sell it. I start taking different paths home if I knew, because in Romania you knock on somebody's door and say, "Can I buy some moonshine?" And it's like, "Of course, right here." It's everywhere. Every
mm,
household has it. My father had his own moonshine distillery back in the. He had a special room for it, so it's everywhere.
mhm,
So I knew people were praying. I just needed to make that decision. That's like, God, you are the only one who can help me. And I had to take some steps towards that. And I'm not saying that it was a perfect road from there. No, it was
right.
extremely hard, extremely hard. Keep falling back. And if anybody went through it, you know that it's not easy to detox. It's not easy, but only through God's grace and
Mm,
accountability.
mm. That was so wise of you to know that you
Mhm.
needed somebody and somebody strong, especially to
Yes.
walk with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time you were leaving and going somewhere.
Mhm.
And I think even just having that wisdom is an answer to the prayers
Mhm.
that you realize that.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 I knew my mama was always praying.
Mm, that's huge. So I want to circle back a little bit to the grief and wonder what
Mhm.
you would say to somebody who is in that place of they've lost someone who has been really important to them, even if it wasn't a healthy relationship, because it sounds like your dad
Mhm.
was not necessarily a healthy person, but still
Mhm.
important to you. So I wonder
Yeah.
what you might say in that situation.
there's a lot of people that say that there's a certain steps you have to follow when you
Mhm.
go through grief, when you go through loneliness and through anger. To me, it's more like grief is such a unique thing that you have to allow people to grieve the way that is best for them.
Yeah.
So when I lost my father, like I said, I didn't know how to grieve, so I turned to alcohol. When I lost my first husband, I was here in the United States and I had no family with me. And I tried to go back to Romania, but I realized I lost my citizenship. And I knew that how easy it would have been for me to turn to alcohol. So what I did, I took 3 jobs because I remember that in the past that actually helped me. Well, through the loss of my sister, I feel like I learned something profound. I've learned that one, it's okay to cry. I
Mm.
was not for my husband and my father. I always knew that, oh, crying it's a sign of weakness and I have to be strong and I have to, but we don't have to. They said the greater the love, the harder the loss is. And we have to look at it like, look, I love that person and it's okay to cry. It's okay to break down. It's okay to fall apart.
Mhm.
But also, I've learned when I lost my sister that our loved ones will want us to move on and they will want us to live a life of purpose. And I remember like it was yesterday that I had a piece of paper. I was at my sister's funeral and I was fixing to walk up the platform to speak in her honor. Like that piece of paper could sum up her life. And the only thing that was going through my mind, I was like, she had so much wisdom she still wanted to share with the world. She had
Mm.
so much. And I was like, how in the world can I carry her light? How can I continue her legacy? And it's like the Holy Spirit said, you don't have to carry hers, but you can carry yours. You don't
Mm.
have to finish what she started, but you can live a life of purpose. And to me, in 2023, after her passing, it's when I've learned that it's okay to grieve somebody, it's okay to cry, but it's also okay to understand that they're in a better place.
Yeah.
What can we do to make a difference? What can we do to leave a legacy? And that will honor them. So when you know you honor them as well, I feel like it gives you a fire that is hard to be put off. It gives
Mm.
you a fire that's like I'm doing it in their honor, but I'm also doing it because I want to make a difference. And that's what brought healing to me through grief,
Mm.
finding
You
purpose.
There is so much that you just said in that couple minutes.
Mhm.
So rich. And I'm noticing that you talked about how you'd want to carry on your sister's legacy, but you realized you couldn't replace God's purpose for her in the world.
Yes.
And instead, you have your own purpose that you are living,
Mhm.
which, in a sense, honors your sister and also
Yeah.
honors God.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes. So in
So,
grief, there's hard lessons to learn, but God brought them in our life so we can learn those lessons.
yes, yes. I think grief it's hard. It feels impossible. And
Yes.
yet, walking
Yes.
through it, and especially with support of others who've been there, um,
Hmm.
is
Yeah.
is so important because it changes us in good ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Truly
Yeah.
does. Truly
Hmm.
does.
Yeah. So now tell us about what you're doing and how you've changed since 2023
Yes.
and what you're doing.
It's been quite a journey. So in 2023, I'm located in Knoxville, Tennessee, but I moved to Montana. I was traveling back and forth for 11 months to be the caretaker for my sister. And during that time, what I've learned that we didn't really waste a lot of time on speaking on nonsense things or soap opera or gossip or movies or books. but we talk hard things. We talked about life, we talked about legacy. And during that time, we reminded each other that we made a lot of promises when we were kids that we're going to take things to grave with us. So she said, Sis, I don't want you to carry those alone. I want you to write a book. She passed away in November of 2023. So when I came home, I remember I told my husband, babe, I love you and I love our kids, but I don't have purpose in life anymore. She knew me before the world did. She was my lifeline. And he encouraged me to see a therapist. And she also said, hey, then write. So now, fast forward, we're 2026. The first book came out in March of 2026 this year, and it's called Buried Not Broken, a Memoir of Survival, Sisterhood, and Starting Over. And there's a collection of stories about us growing up under the communist regime and highlights abuse and addiction. And it's raw, but through every chapter, it shows God's grace.
Mm.
So now the second book is coming out the end of July for pre-order. So that is called Second Sunrise Together. And I think that's the first time I'm actually saying that out loud in the show. So it's Second Sunrise Together and is the couple's guide to trust, remarriage, and blended family. Because after I lost my first husband, I said, absolutely not. I will never remarry. But God brought my current husband Kenny and he brought us together, and we see God's grace through all of that. In the process, I now have two amazing children that adopted my husband's kids. So something else that came from that, that's why I said, like, if you're open to it and you ask God to give you strength. 3 years ago, I just wanted to end it all. I had no purpose. And now the second book is coming out. The third one is the manuscript is close to being finished, and it's for help women find their identity and find their purpose. But I also started retreats for women who feel overwhelmed, and the first one is starting in August. And next year, we'll also do events for women to step into their calling and find their purpose. So God is opening doors that I've never thought, or possibilities that I've never thought will be an option for me. But it's back to that fire. Like, no matter how hard grief is, if we look at it, okay, God, this was your perfect plan. I don't understand it,
Mm.
but I want you to help me use this for your glory. What can I do? So I'm
Mhm.
still healing, but through
Yeah.
every single process of that healing, I'm praying, God, give me the wisdom. What do you want me to do next? That I can help other women that felt like I was feeling ashamed and
Mm.
broken and no purpose. And that's where God is truly working.
That is amazing. And gosh, so many times along this journey of the last decades, you could have given up. You could have said, that's it. And look where you are now.
Mhm.
And that is just
Right.
beautiful. Thank God for that.
Right.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So, in a minute, I'm going to ask you to share a big takeaway for our audience. But right now, how can people reach out to you, find out more about the retreat, more
Yeah.
about, obviously, I'm sure your books are on Amazon, but
Yes.
how can people
Yeah.
get hold of you, Mia?
So I try to keep everything simple.
Hmm.
So my name, it's Mia Godfrey. It's not my whole name, but I go by Mia Godfrey because it's shorter and easier to find and pronounce. So I'm Mia Godfrey on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram. My website is Mia Godfrey, and that's where I post about the retreat and the events that are coming up. My book also, it's of course Amazon, and it's on Kindle, it's on Audible. If you want to hear it with the accent that I had 17 years ago when I came into the country, check out the Audible. It's very strong Eastern European accent.
That's great.
And yeah, I'm everywhere. Just ask Mia Godfrey, or just go and Google, put Mia Godfrey, and there will be articles or podcasts. You click on it, and you'll be able to find me.
Awesome. Awesome. So, Mia, if there's one thing you want people to walk away from this interview hearing, what would it be?
Don't give up.
Mm,
Don't give up. Life is going to knock you down more than once. Sometimes you're not going to want to get out of the bed because life hit you so hard.
mhm,
But on the other side, God has such an amazing plan if we just don't quit, if we keep pushing forward. And if it gets so hard that you don't know where to go from here and you're ready to quit, reach out to somebody. Reach out to somebody and they'll be able to help. Again, Mia Godfrey, reach out to me. I also do Bible counseling and life coaching. Reach out to somebody that can walk the journey with you, help you get unstuck, and help you step into the purpose that God has for your life. Because as long as we have breath in our lungs, our life is not over and God's plan is not over for us. We just need to just hang on and just don't give up. Don't give
mm,
up and reach out to the community of people that can help you.
yeah. And you are a living, breathing, walking testimony of that truth. And no matter how long it takes, don't give up.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much for your time with me today, Mia. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Karen. It's been a pleasure.
What Mia described experiencing so many times when her father died, when she discovered her best friend was pregnant and her fiance was the father, later when she lost her first husband and then her sister. These are all impossible moments that need God's grace. These are the moments that Michael and I call the wall or the dark night of the soul. And when you find yourself there, it's so tempting to look for a way out. That might be through numbing or addiction, or even spiritualizing or dismissing the experience as a spiritual attack. But the place of growth is in accepting, leaning in, and seeking God through the pain. Michael and I have been there multiple times ourselves, and our heart is to help others through the wall. If you're facing the impossible in life, I invite you to connect with us through our website, thegraceforge.com. The link is always at the top of our show notes. And so that is it for today. Until next time, whatever you're walking through, remember the grace you need is already being forged.